Your Excellency, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome to James Cook University Bebegu Yumba campus. The official party can be seated. Welcome to those who are joining us via the live stream on our campuses in Brisbane, Cairns, Mackay, Mount Isa, Singapore and Thursday Island. My name is Tiana Graham and I am the Ceremony Marshal for today's investiture of JCU's 6th Chancellor, Professor Ngiare Brown. We are gathered for this historic occasion on the lands of the Bindal people. Please welcome Bindal Elder and JCU alumna, Professor Gracelyn Smallwood, Member of the Order of Australia, to deliver the Welcome to Country.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and to all the distinguished guests here, too many to name. I'd like to pay homage to my elder sister, Dorothy Savage, the eldest of 19, and we're Bindal, Birragubba Nation, which runs from south of Ross River down to the Whitsundays. I'd like to say Watamuli, which means greetings and farewell in our Birragubba language, and absolutely honoured to be here today, especially with our new Chancellor, Ngiare Brown, who's we've been connected for over 25 years, and it's such a special occasion today. And Ngiare is the first Indigenous female Chancellor, and we're also excited as she's such a grassroots wonderful lady, graduated from James Cook as a medical student, and we know things are getting better. I'm told today I've got a couple of minutes, and it's the first speech I've written, so I'll be very quick. Friends, we are in a year that could change for the better relations between First Nations peoples and the descendants, other descendants for 200 years ago. You just saw a smoking ceremony that's a cleansing ceremony that's been practiced for 60,000 years, and we are the oldest surviving living culture in the world. We could have a treaty, we could hear the truth, and we could have a voice. We all owe that to our children. Oodgeroo Noonuckal's dream of Australia becoming a country where the lives of black and white combined in harmony is there before us now. This is the future we must not lose. We have never seceded our sovereignty of this land, and the truth process, the voice process and the treaty process will make that all clear to us. Let us go together with hope and courage in our hearts into our new future. Yes, I am voting yes for voice, treaty and truth. And should that win or lose, I believe we're in a political climate that things can only get better for the First Nations Australians, and especially reconciliation and self-determination. I thank this amazing university that I've been connected to for 50 years, my Birragubba Nation, and I'd also like to pay homage to the Walgarugaba Nation on the other side. I look forward to coming out here regularly, as I'm so thrilled about Professor Ngiare Brown being our new Chancellor. Watamuli, and God bless you all.
Thank you, Professor Smallwood. Our thanks to the Bindal people present today, including Uncle Alfred Smallwood, who performed the smoking ceremony during the academic procession, and William Mabo, who accompanied him on didgeridoo. Ladies and gentlemen, we're honoured to host a number of dignitaries for today's investiture ceremony, including Her Excellency, the Honourable Dr. Jeanette Young, Companion of the Order of Australia and Public Service Medal, Governor of Queensland. The Honourable Anastasia Palaszczuk MP, Premier of Queensland and Minister for the Olympic and Paralympic Games. State elected representatives including the Honourable Scott Stewart MP, Minister for Resources and Member for Townsville, Mr Aaron Harper MP, Member for Thuringowa, Mr Les Walker MP, Member for Mundingburra, the Honourable Fiona Nash, Regional Education Commissioner, Councillor Jenny Hill, Mayor of the City of Townsville, Councillor Ross Andrews, Mayor of Yarrabah Aboriginal Shire Council, Councillor Bob Manning, Order of Australia Medal, Mayor of Cairns, and other council representatives. We are of course joined by our university leaders today, including Professor Ngiare Brown, Chancellor of JCU. We're especially delighted that Professor Brown's family could join us today as well. Very big welcome to our university community. Mr. Bill Tudell, former Chancellor of JCU, has joined us today. Current and former members of JCU Council, Professor Simon Biggs, JCU Vice-Chancellor and President, members of our leadership team, Deputy Vice-Chancellors, academic staff, emeritus professors, distinguished alumni and honorary doctors. We are pleased to have a number of leaders of our local and state industry and business community present today. To our university colleagues from across the country, Chancellors, Vice-Chancellors and Deputy Vice-Chancellor Indigenous, thank you for travelling to be here today. Finally, to our staff, students and members of the community, welcome and thank you for joining us. Your Excellency, I'd now like to invite Vice-Chancellor and President, Professor Simon Biggs, to deliver the opening address.
Governor, Premier, Chancellor, distinguished guests, university colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, I warmly welcome you to JCU for the investiture of our 6th Chancellor, Professor Ngiare Brown. We are of course honoured by the presence of Her Excellency the Honourable Dr. Jeanette Young AC, Governor of Queensland, and our Premier Anastasia Palaszczuk. We express our gratitude for their attendance today, which adds significantly to this auspicious occasion. I also acknowledge the invaluable contributions of our former Chancellor, Mr. Bill Tudell, whose dedicated service has left a lasting impact on our university. We are grateful to have him here to pass the torch to Professor Brown. My personal thanks also to Professor Gracelyn Smallwood AM, Uncle Alfred Smallwood and William Mabo for your warm welcome on behalf of the Bindal people. The traditional owners of all the lands and seas on which we operate are integral to our university community, and I thank you for enriching this important occasion. Today, of course, marks a very significant moment in the history of James Cook University, as we officially embrace the appointment of our inaugural female Chancellor, who is also the first Indigenous Chancellor of our university. This extraordinary milestone becomes even more momentous as it aligns with the commemoration of National Reconciliation Week. The Investiture Ceremony, deeply rooted in university traditions, pays tribute to the central role of the Chancellor in the governance of the institution. These ceremonies involve the Chancellor being officially adorned with symbolic emblems and decorations that represent this esteemed position. In a moment, we will witness the passing of the Chancellor's robe from our former Chancellor to Professor Brown, accompanied by the presentation of a cultural sash by our JCU Student Association First Nations officer, Roderick Mabo. Professor Brown brings a wealth of knowledge and experience to this position. As a proud Yuin Nation woman, an experienced physician, she has dedicated her career to improving the health and well-being of Indigenous communities across Australia and beyond. Her leadership, advocacy and influence have driven positive change in her field, helping to shape public policy. As a university created for the tropics, serving the communities of regional and rural Queensland and Northern Australia, it is crucial that our leadership reflects the communities that we serve. Professor Brown's values and experience align seamlessly with those of our university. Under her guidance, we will continue to be major positive contributors for our communities through impactful education and research. Today, we celebrate not only Professor Brown's remarkable achievements, but also the collective accomplishments of our university. This occasion allows us to reflect on the values and aspirations that have shaped our institution and renew our commitment to excellence in teaching, research and service to benefit Northern Australia and the tropics. I extend my heartfelt congratulations to Professor Brown on her appointment as Chancellor and express my appreciation to all of you here today for joining us. Thank you.
Your Excellency, I now invite you to address the Assembly.
Chancellor. Premier of Queensland and Minister for the Olympic and Paralympic Games, the Honourable Anastasia Palaszczuk MP. Minister for Resources, the Honourable Mr Scott Stewart MP. Members of Parliament. Mayors, James Cook University Chancellor, Professor Ngiare Brown. Vice-Chancellor and President, Professor Simon Biggs. Deputy Vice-Chancellors, Elders, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I would also like to begin by thanking Uncle Alfred Smallwood and William Mabo for honouring the academic procession with a smoking ceremony, and Professor Gracelyn Smallwood AM for her welcome to country on behalf of the Bindal people. I would also like to acknowledge the original custodians of the lands on which we gather, pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging, and extend my respects to all the First Nations people here today. The wisdom generated by the powerful Indigenous connection to ancient cultural traditions informs and educates us all. This afternoon we gather at the Bebegu Yumba campus for a significant event in the life of James Cook University, with the investiture of Professor Ngiare Brown as its 6th Chancellor. Not only, as we've heard, is Professor Brown this university's first female Chancellor, but she is also the first Indigenous person to be appointed Chancellor of a university in our state. I'm incredibly proud to be here as Governor during National Reconciliation Week on the Eddie Koiki Mabo Library lawn to witness such a momentous milestone in Queensland's history. Professor Brown brings with her an impressive record of achievement, not only in her diverse professional career, but also in her unswerving dedication to improving the lives of Indigenous Australians, particularly children and adolescents. As Chancellor, Professor Brown is entrusted to build on the legacy laid by those who have come before, whose cumulative efforts over the past 53 years have seen JCU grow to become an outstanding tertiary institution, which enjoys a well-deserved reputation for delivering world-class education and innovative research across 4 campuses, while remaining committed to the communities of Northern Australia and the tropics it serves. We look to our universities to provide solutions to the big problems we face, and JCU is considered a thought leader, particularly in the fields of marine and environmental science, climate change, and tropical health and medicine. JCU is now ranked in the top 2% of universities worldwide and is number 1 in Australia for graduate full-time employment outcomes. But underpinning all that is its pledge to be an integral supporter of its people and its places. I therefore would like to take this opportunity to pay particular tribute to the former Chancellor, Mr Bill Tweddle, who has worked tirelessly over the past 7 years to strengthen the core values of JCU as a tertiary institution that encourages excellence, but that at the same time stands firmly for authenticity, integrity, and respect. I applaud him for his steadfast commitment to promoting these values and for leading the university through the challenges of COVID and into the strong position it enjoys today. Mr Tweddle and Professor Brown are both JCU alumni. I'm sure their long-standing links to this university provide unique insights that are of great benefit to their leadership roles. I commend the James Cook University Council for electing Professor Brown as Chancellor, and am confident that her admirable determination, immense experience, and her credentials as a passionate advocate for positive change will continue the university on its path of ensuring access to quality education for all. Chancellor, on behalf of all Queenslanders, I congratulate you on today's investiture and wish you every success ahead.
Your Excellency, we've now reached the ceremonial part of today's proceedings. I invite former Chancellor, Mr. Bill Twiddell, to present the Chancellor's robes to Professor Ngiare Brown. Ladies and gentlemen, at JCU graduation ceremonies, it's tradition to honour Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander students by presenting them with cultural sashes. The sashes were conceived and designed by our students to distinguish them as proud Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. The Aboriginal sash incorporates the colours of the Aboriginal flag, an Australian map to represent the Aboriginal people, the sun, red ochre of the earth, and rainbow serpent, symbolising the spiritual connection to the land and dreamtime. The Torres Strait Island sash showcases the colours of their culture: green for the land, blue for the waters, black for the people, and white for the coming of Christianity to the Torres Strait. The design also features cultural totems, the turtle, dugong, and the Dari headdress. Professor Brown has chosen to receive a combined Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander cultural sash to recognise the coming together of both cultures in our university community. I now invite JCU Student Association First Nations Officer, Mr. Roderick Mabo, to present the cultural sash to Professor Brown.
Oh, very done.
Thank you, Roderick. Please welcome JCU Chancellor, Professor Ngiare Brown.
I'm not crying, that's just a bit of ochre in my eye. Your Excellency, Premier, distinguished guests. Oh, I'm a little bit nervous. I know you're all fabulous and high-powered, but my family are here today and they haven't heard me speak before, and I want to make them proud. These Darawal words that I will share have been a gift from my cousin, a language keeper. I'm still learning, so please forgive my imperfection. Naganbi nirgang mige bulawalal, yuwinj bulawalal, gujaga bulawalal. Nayangang buanja nombon malada, njin yuwen balawala, njin mige bulawala, nani nurani nurageli. Nombon maladane, nura bindal, tul gara wajan, Bebegu Yumba, Wulgu Rukaba, Gimoy, Walubara Yirinji, Bamal Garigaran, Mijigara, Badu, Jaja Maman. Naganbi Nyang Ngiare Brown, Yuan Mige, Duraninang, Nabanara, Mamang, Mige Mara. Walpuri Napaljara, Yonglu Gurari, Nani Nura Naura, Mundagari, Biawa Gaura, Naigura Tangal, Gamarara Majingal, Mujimedigar, Gurungburg, Yalabi Dayulungbura, Nandi Nindigang, Jalgala Nindigang. Hello to you all, women, men, and children. A friend is happy to see you. I remember with love the old men and the old women from my country. I bring with me love and respect for the traditional custodians of this country, the Bindal peoples of Thulgariwaja, on this campus, the place of learning, the Wulgurukaba people from across the river, the clans of the Cairns region, where I'm making my second home, and all of our keepers of earth, sea, sky, and waterways, upon whose country we have the privilege to live, work, and raise our families. My name is Ngiare Brown. I am a Yuin woman, daughter, mother, sister, and wife of the black cockatoo, the red-bellied black snake, and the orca. And when in the north, I feel a strong affiliation with the dugong, to which I bear a reasonable resemblance. My heartfelt thanks to Professor Auntie Graceland, Mr. William Mabo and Uncle Arthur for their welcome and their generosity. My gratitude to the former Chancellor, Bill Twaddell, for his service to JCU and to the community, the causes that he championed, and for his unwavering support for me. I am proud to be carrying on the tradition of the JCU cultural sash and extend love and thanks to Roderick Mabo and the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander students for bestowing upon me this honour. And much love to my family, my brothers and sisters, and to each of you. I see you, I embrace you, and I am honoured and humbled to share in this ceremony. So as you know, in my other day job, I'm a doctor by trade. I have a clinic in the Illawarra that's focused on child and adolescent social and emotional wellbeing. I also provide outreach for Aboriginal children affected by trauma and with complex comorbidities. So why this role? I've maintained an affection for JCU for more than 2 decades. I'm an alumna, and despite biostatistics making me cry, I finished with my Masters of Public Health and Tropical Medicine, and I still claim friends here, colleagues, countrymen and women. JCU is highly ranked in research, neuroscience, the health disciplines, freshwater and marine biology and conservation, which are global priorities now and into the future. JCU has a track record of expertise in regional, rural and remote education, business and service delivery. The power of place narrative resonates deeply, as does the ongoing discourse on identity. And there is the richness of the relationships and ongoing contributions from Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples and communities that have the potential to elevate JCU into a unique powerhouse role. New but agile, small but focused, with a kind of diverse footprint that few, if any other institutions within the global tropical band can match. And why not aspire to be an institution of choice for our Indigenous peoples of Far North Queensland, Australia and the Pacific. The Pacific Region Indigenous Doctors Congress is one of the most amazing, grounding and healing events that I have the privilege to enjoy. When separated by distance, borders, oceans, and often isolated in our own work environments, we feel invisible, oppressed and powerless. But when we come together, the joy and the passion and the power as a collective is palpable and undeniable. And it's not just what we do for Indigenous peoples and our communities. It is what we offer for all. We enrich our professions and the spheres within which we exist. Curiosity and the desire to explore, discover and problem solve is innate across all species, yet the education system somehow seems less and less responsive and more punitive, prescribed and rigid. I lament the erosion of the population level capacity for critical thinking. I like to think instead that I have a love of learning. I'm not all about sort of science and medical journals. I enjoy design and architecture, recipes on Instagram. I also really like children's books, particularly Roald Dahl and all of those new illustrated versions that explain emotions to small children. I'm hoping that an eclectic base helps me to avoid one-dimensional and unidisciplinary thinking. But more importantly, I'm hoping that by enjoying a diversity of food for thought, I will have more to offer and more to give. Our senior people, our healers, our knowledge keepers and cultural custodians understand that knowledge is a gift and gifts are for giving. Knowledge is not diminished when shared, just as a flame is not diminished if it lights another torch. Like love or the magic pudding, it remains whole, it flourishes, it becomes whatever you ask of it. Our sector must shed its exclusory ivory towers facade. To truly embody a civic university, we must actively and intentionally dismantle barriers, enhance relevance and connection without diminishing standards. If we remain cosseted, elevated and above it all, then the world and the people in it will always look distant and small. It's only when we get amongst it that it comes into greater focus. The benefits assume multiple dimensions, and we can more directly give of our gifts and receive so much more in return. Identity may be difficult to distill into a singular definition, but it may be as simple as a sense of self as an individual or as part of a collective. I've been described as ethnically ambiguous or pan-Indigenous. I've been mistaken as Maori, Native Hawaiian, Mexican, Spanish, South American, and my absolute favourite, a Samoan powerlifter. They're all compliments. But I see children and adults alike struggle as their internal growth, their social and cultural exploration clashes with external expectations. No one else has the right to tell you who you are or define your belonging, your stories, or your connections. They do not have that power. I am Ewan. Today I stand in the long shadow of Eddie Koiki Mabo's legacy. Every day I stand on the shoulders of giants, of my ancestors, yes, and today I'm also blessed by the presence of some contemporary giants and local legends. I hope to be worthy of a place in a story more than 2,000 generations in the making. I have at my back millennia of knowledge keepers, cultural custodians, and I have in front of me the futures of more than 500 million Indigenous peoples the world over, including my two beautiful children. For some, their identity is their birthright. For others, it is a journey of discovery over time. For institutions, it can be crafted, created, curated, and change over time. JCU is young enough to be cheeky and small enough to be nimbler than sandstone. How do we want to be recognised? What do we want coded into our DNA? And how do we want to evolve? I'm excited about being a part of that journey. And my wish list, this is quite distilled and summarised of course, looks a little something like this. I want to promote JCU as the preferred institution for regional, rural and remote learning, training and education, including health, environmental sciences, regional business modelling and service delivery for far north Queensland, Queensland, Australia and the Pacific. Be like Cuba. The top exports for Cuba, along with rum and cigars, are medical graduates. They are trained as public health assets and are highly sought after for their expertise. There is great potential to enhance the demand for JCU graduates across all of the disciplines offered. I see JCU as the hub for Pacific Nexus, facilitating Indigenous student experiences, research collaborations and professional development. anchoring a centre of excellence in cultural learning and Indigenous knowledges. Grow local and regional talent. However, if we want to ensure pipelines from community to industry, we must be active in making profound changes to how learning and education are developed and delivered. Adopt the 7 generations principle, a Haudenosaunee philosophy that the decisions we make today, our words and our actions, must be mindful of the potential impacts 7 generations henceforth. Wise men plant the seeds of trees whose shade they will not live to enjoy. A fitting proverb considering Eddie Mabo was for a time a gardener at JCU and planted many of the trees on this campus. Don't be afraid to dream big and to shine bright. To paraphrase Marianne Williamson, if you have ever asked yourself, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? I'm looking at you, Danella. Actually, who are you not to be? Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that others won't feel insecure. We are all meant to shine as children do. And as we let our light shine, we unconsciously give others the permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. Go big, shine bright, and bring all of those that are attracted to your light along for the ride. I am honoured by this opportunity, and I am humbled to be entrusted with this phase of your journey. I look forward to serving JCU and the communities of Far North Queensland to the best of my abilities. Until next we meet, Gamarada.
Your Excellency, I invite Premier Anastasia Palaszczuk to deliver the closing remarks.
Well, thank you very much, and good afternoon, everyone. It's indeed my pleasure to be with you all today, and of course I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners and custodians of the land on which this event is taking place, and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging, and the Bindal people. Can I of course acknowledge Her Excellency the Honourable Dr Jeanette Young, Governor of Queensland, the Honourable Scott Stewart, Minister for Resources and Member for Townsville, Aaron Harper, Member for Thuringowa, Councillor Jenny Hill, Mayor of the City of Townsville, Mayors Bob Manning, Ross Andrews. Can I especially welcome the new Chancellor, Ngiare Brown, Chancellor, James Cook University. I think that deserves another big round of applause. To Professor Simon Biggs, Vice-Chancellor and President, James Cook University, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. What we have seen here today is historic and important. Chancellor Brown has dedicated her life to improving people's lives, and that is obvious from her start in medicine. But her drive was to help more than one patient at a time. Chancellor Brown wanted to help as many as she could. Her achievements are so many and well documented. A founding member and Foundation Chief Executive with the Aboriginal Indigenous Doctors Association, founding member of the Pacific Region Indigenous Doctors Association, manager of preventative Indigenous health programs for World Vision. Professor Brown has expressed it best herself: if you want people to have better health outcomes, give them better health care. This has been her life's work. And now another first, the first woman of Aboriginal heritage to become Chancellor of James Cook University, a university in which she was once a student. This position of leadership spreads further than the university. We cannot be what we cannot see. It is no accident that this ceremony occurs in the shadow of a building named after Eddie Koiki Mabo, or that this is occurring during Reconciliation Week. The theme of this year's Reconciliation Week is Be a Voice for Generations. I believe that each generation is called upon to make its mark on its age. For ours, it is the chance to begin to put right the centuries of wrongs suffered by our First Nations peoples. It means treaty, and it means a voice. Both are within our grasp. This is the great opportunity in front of us. As the Uluru Statement from the Heart says, to achieve a fuller expression of Australia's nationhood. Chancellor Brown has been a voice for generations. Her appointment offers her the opportunity to have a positive impact on many more. The contribution James Cook University makes to both North and Far North Queensland is significant. Since 1970, James Cook University has provided first-class tertiary education for those living in the great north of our state. It meant no longer did people have to choose between moving away from home or a tertiary education. Just think about that for a moment. This university has led the way in so many areas, in tropical medicine, cyclone research, reef protection, and land rights. JCU educates our teachers, our nurses, our doctors, our judges and scientists. Not only has JCU strengthened the local economy, it's strengthened this community. The future ahead for JCU, led by Chancellor Ngiare Brown, is bright. On behalf of Queensland, I congratulate her and wish her and JCU well as they continue their admirable work now and into the generations to come. Thank you.
Your Excellency, honoured guests, the Investiture Ceremony has now concluded. In commemoration of this special occasion, JCU commissioned an artwork titled Flight Path by Claire Jacques Vasquez. Claire joins us in the audience today. She's a talented artist from Gumaroy and Kamilaroi communities, currently based in Townsville on Bindal and Wulkurukaba country. Her artwork features on the cover of the ceremony program today and is also on display in the Eddie Koiki Mabo Library alongside other remarkable works from the JCU art collection. You're welcome to wander through the library this afternoon and view the collection, and our dedicated library staff will be available to provide guided tours. After the procession leaves the marquee, you're all invited to join Professor Brown and the official party for afternoon tea in front of the library, during which we'll see a traditional performance by the Bindal Yallaran Dance Group. Then from 5:45 this afternoon, we'll host our esteemed annual Eddie Koiki Mabo lecture in the Sir George Knipe Auditorium. We have the privilege of welcoming Professor Tom Kama, Officer of the Order of Australia, as this year's speaker. Following the lecture, we invite you to stay and enjoy the evening reception and refreshments at Central Plaza. Tomorrow, our National Reconciliation Week events continue with the Voice to Parliament community event, which will be held back here in the marquee at 11 o'clock. The panel discussion presents an opportunity for you to engage in conversation and gain a deeper understanding of the upcoming referendum on enshrining an Indigenous voice to Parliament. For more information about the week's events, please refer to the back of your ceremony program, or you can visit our JCU website. Once again, on behalf of the university, thank you for your presence here today, both in person and online. Please stand as the official party and academic procession depart.